ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula is set to announce the reconfiguration of the Gauteng Provincial Executive Committee today. This follows the decision by the party's National Working Committee to disband and restructure the PECs in both KZN and Gauteng. The KZN announcement was made yesterday. Leadership structures in both provinces will now undergo this reconfiguration after a disappointing performance for the party in the May 2024 elections. Mbalula says a provincial task team has been established to oversee the rebuilding of the ANC structures. Now, Zianda Ngobo is at the ANC's headquarters in the Johannesburg CBD. She joins us live from Luthuli House. Zianda, good afternoon to you. And you and I were talking about the KZN so-called reconfiguration yesterday, just ahead of that announcement by the Secretary General. There was a lot of talk about these two important provinces. And there's yet again this buzzword that's been used by the ANC, rebuilding and renewal.
Absolutely, and just to correct you there, we're actually at the Midrand Convention Centre where the ANC Secretary General is set to arrive any moment from now, where the Gauteng Provincial Executive Committee, which effectively has been disbanded, but the ANC is calling it a reconfiguration, is going to get underway. They'll start off with an induction process, and thereafter there will be a media briefing. Let's bring in ANC National Spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu Motsiri, who'll probably be listening to my use of the word disbandment. Let's talk about the importance of the people you've announced. We saw yesterday in KwaZulu-Natal you announced a structure, and there were lots of questions about the strategy with which you are going to execute to rebuild, because some are saying, well, how connected is Jeff Radebe to the structures of KwaZulu-Natal? How connected is Mike Mabuyakulu to the structures? I've seen former NCOP chairperson Amos Masondo. Just talk to us about the thinking behind everything.
Well, absolutely. The names you've just mentioned by way of example, and add to that the likes of Sibundebele, Megi, Governor, Greta Appelgren. This is now in KZN, and you've already indicated in Gauteng we have veterans such as Comrade Amos Masondo and many others. The thinking behind this is that the ANC, members of the ANC, do deserve to be led by a combination of things, one of which is organizational experience, one of which is extensive leadership experience at that. And some of the comrades that you've just spoken about are also quite rooted where they come from. Both of them are not imposed from some other province or from national, but they actually are the children of the provinces where they have been deployed. Jeff Radebe, for example, led the ANC when it was very difficult in KwaZulu-Natal at the beginning of democracy as the chairperson of what then was called Southern Natal region. Similarly with Sibundebele, who served as an MEC there as well as the premier. So even both from a knowledge and understanding of governance matters in that province, you couldn't have identified better people than those. And so we are quite confident. We are quite confident that they are rooted in the province. They participate in the activities of the ANC. They don't have to be in elected positions to be able to do so. We've seen them being part of the campaigning in the past election. And so those are the comrades to whom, anyway, those of us go to them for counsel, including members of the National Executive Committee, particularly those that reside in KZN, always have to go to them for counsel, because these are people that have walked the path and distinguished themselves in the roles that they have occupied on behalf of the African National Congress.
Speaking of imposition, imposing, and being rooted where they come from, there is a sense that the branches, from those that I've spoken to, the branches were not consulted enough, and that you're imposing these leaders upon them, and that in fact, they're not elected leaders, which begs the question about who is there going to be a level of respect for these provincial task teams running over election machinery ahead of the 2026 local government elections?
Well, let me start off by saying that, like any other democratic organization, the ANC is guided by its constitution. Anything that is done at the level at which it is being done, such as this one, is according to the dictates of the Constitution, Rule 12, read with subsection 1, 2, and 3, read with Rule 19. Totally empowers the National Executive Committee, which is the highest decision-making body in between conferences, with actions that it has taken. And of course, these are actions that have taken a very transparent, very consultative, very rigorous process of diagnosing the state of organization in KwaZulu-Natal as well as Gauteng. And of course, voices of our members have been heard. There have been visits to regions twice at that. The third visit to regions has been to communicate that decision this past weekend. You will not find that in any other organization but the ANC, where you can have that kind of consultative process that leads to a final decision being taken. You will not find it. You wouldn't even find a situation where we communicate changes in the organization in the way we do. And I think this is something that is often lost to South African society, and including to some of my own colleagues in the media. The extent to which the ANC puts itself under the scalpel and still emerge united. And this is exactly what is going to happen again.
Let's see how united you emerge after the meeting that is due to take place once Fikile Mbalula, the ANC Secretary General, arrives here at the Midrand Convention Centre. Certainly, judging from some of the tweets that we've seen from Gauteng ANC leaders, it has not been an easy process to undertake. However, we are going to get then the outcome of that. Amos Masondo being tipped to become the convener. Hope Babo, who was once secretary in this very province, also tipped to come back as coordinator. Panyaza Lesufi would also come back as a co-convener with Amos Masondo. And of course, TK Liza not making the cut. But we'll wait for the official announcement by Mbalula later on this afternoon.
Sienda Ngobo, live to us there in Midrand. Thanks very much indeed for that update.